Students, what's up? Let's talk about section 9.6, the quadratic formula and the discriminant. Notice the upgraded practice work, 9 through 13. Actually, no, never mind. This is not right. Check for in-class live updates to the practice work. That is no longer the correct practice work. Anyway, so let's get back to the quadratic formula. When you have a quadratic equation, so an ax squared plus bx plus c, when that equals 0, aka when does this thing hit the ground in the story problems, but when this equation equals 0, you can find the x value by simply doing this equation. X will equal negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it looks like a pretty nasty formula, but if you break it down into a couple of smaller pieces, your life will be very, very simple. So it's basically testing your patience versus your intelligence. So patience, 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 go slow, and you will be fine. The number one thing I like to do is I like to attack the biggest, baddest part of this formula, the b squared minus 4ac. Now, it's so bad that it actually has its own name. It's called the discriminant, okay? What it does is it determines if you even need to find anything. So here's 3 examples of what it's talking about. So again, the b squared minus 4ac, that's the discriminant. The b squared minus 4ac, that's the discriminant. Now, I love these examples because notice they use brackets when they plug in the values. So here we have an a value of 1, b value of negative 6, and a c value of 7. So they plug in b squared minus 4ac. Perfect. Look at this. This is gorgeous. You must use brackets when you plug in negatives, otherwise your calculator will do it wrong. Okay? So all 3 problems, look at this. Okay? They just kept changing the c value. They kept increasing it. So you'll kind of see what's going on here. Okay? So they plug in the discriminant. They do b squared minus 4ac. It's positive. Okay? When the discriminant is greater than 0, or when it's positive, you're going to actually have to do stuff. So if you notice here, this equation is going to have 2 x values for you to find. Okay? When the discriminant is 0, there's only going to be 1 solution for you to find. And when the discriminant is less than 0 or negative, you're going to have nothing to find. Because if you look at the formula, it's a square root. It's plus and minus a square root. So here's, I made a little thing down here. If it's plus and minus a square root of a positive, it's going to be 2 numbers. There's going to be 2 things for you to do. You have to add it, and then you have to subtract it. Okay? So spoiler, this is eventually going to break down into 2 parts. Okay? This formula actually will split into 2 parts. Okay? When it's positive, you actually need to do that. You actually need to find the 2 parts, plus that and minus that. Now, when it's 0, you only need to find 1, because there is no difference between plus 0 and minus 0. The square root of 0 is 0, and there is absolutely no difference when you add 0 or subtract 0. So this is kind of like the bullseye. When your discriminant is 0, you have exactly bullseyed 1 solution. Okay, so again, positive, you're actually going to find 2 solutions. When it's 0, you're going to find 1. Okay, and when it's negative, not only will it graph a situation that has no solutions, but you can't even do this. If you try to square root a negative, your calculator is going to say some type of error at you. Okay? Try that really quick. If I try to do the square root of like negative 25, okay, it's not going to work out. It's not real. It's a non-real answer. So that gets into like imaginary numbers, and that's none of our business for right now. Okay? So we've talked about that before. It's a square root. Okay, if you have a square, that's not possible. What is each side? Those are question marks. Excuse me. Paper's kind of flying up and hitting my pen. What's the sides of those squares going to be? Nothing. This is not possible. Okay, so you're kind of having your fingers crossed the entire time, hoping that your discriminant is going to be negative, b squared minus 4ac. If b squared minus 4ac is negative, you don't even have to do anything. You're just going to say no solution. I can't even do that. I can't even use the formula, so it's pointless. There's going to be no solutions. If it's 0, you only got to find 1, and if it's positive, you have to find 2. Okay, so that's kind of the overview. Refer to this, okay, because that's kind of where we start. I like to attack the discriminant first to see if I even need to do anything. Okay? And then from there, I'll show you the rest. So that's kind of a nice introduction. I'm going to do the 2 examples here, and then it's just using the formula over and over and over again. So get ready for the next video.